What up, y'all? CHGO Bulls is in your face and on your screen. Big Dave, Will Gottlieb, Giddey on production. We got a lot to get into. Billy Donovan, the right coach. We don't know. Team USA versus the World All-Star Game. We'll see. The Ringers list the top 100 NBA players. 3 of the Bulls are on it. Katie's going to slap you hard right now. What up? What's happening? What down? All that cool stuff. CHGO Bulls podcast is on your screen and in your ears. What up, y'all? I'm Matt Peck. What's happening with you? That's Big Dave over there. That's Katie on the 1s and 2s on production. Thank y'all for hanging out with us, man. Thank y'all for being here. Make sure you're joining us in the chat. Hit that like button. You know Katie will come after you, and we don't want that. Well, I kind of want to see that. But hit that like button. Send us anything you want to say in that chat. Go. How's it going?
The people who are just listening are going to think that it is you and Matt today, when in fact it is myself.
Do you have a Matt Peck impersonation? Impersonation. Okay.
For the listeners, I just threw a fake hat.
Okay. You got to put more torque in that. You know what I mean? Look, going that way. I think that works. That works well. Yeah, I have one too. I'll do it later. I'll do it later.
I got save this for we know when that kicks.
Yeah, this for overtime. But for here on today's show, the Ringer, shout out to the Ringer, have updated their top 100 NBA players list. There are 3 Bulls on the list. We'll tell you who rose, we'll tell you who fall, and we'll tell you why they did that and what they had to say about it. Plus, Billy Donovan, now the 3rd longest tenured head coach in the NBA. We're going to talk about that. Is he the right coach for the future going forward for this Bulls team? We'll get into all that stuff, man. But to start it off, there was an announcement made today by Adam Silver when he was on Breakfast Ball on FS1. Shout out Danny Parkins. And the announcement was that for next year's All-Star Game, Team USA versus the world will be a thing. It's something people have definitely clamored for, something people definitely discussed and said they want to see, because the league is definitely changing with the MVPs. I believe 7 of the last MVPs. Am I right about this?
I think the last 7.
The last 7, yes. That's why I said that correctly.
Jokic, Embiid, Shea.
There it is. Have all been international players. So this kind of coincides with that. There is no format yet. They don't have it planned out. So put down your pitchforks and torches about people being mad. They don't have a format yet. It will kind of coincide with the Winter Olympics. Since the NBA will be on NBC now, the Olympics is always on NBC. It will be going on during that time, so it will kind of coincide with that. So they want to play into that aspect of it as well. And it's also inspired by the success of the NHL and what they've done, with the Frozen Four and, of course, the Team USA versus the world that they did. Before I get into the fun stuff of this, what is your opinion on this? Do you think this is a good thing?
I mean, I think it's cool. Look, the All-Star game is broken, and it's like a situation where they're reaching for different ways to try to fix it. I'm not sure what the right solution is. The ones that they have tried, I don't think have worked particularly well. Obviously, the Elam ending the first year in Chicago was great. That was an exciting game, and it was like you felt the electricity from that. But in the following years, ensuing years, it did not work out quite as well. I liked the concept of what they did last year in terms of shortening the games, doing it more tournament style. Okay. To me, it's like the first 3 quarters of an All-Star game are like messing around, like doing layup lines, shooting half quarters, and then okay, if it's close, then we'll start trying in the 4th quarter. So why not just cut out the first 3 quarters and have it be close and the players actually try? Again, didn't really work out that way. Mr. Beast was there. It was weird and not that exciting.
All right.
But I think when you try to have something where there's a little bit of pride on the line, that's when the players get motivated. And so, I mean, you see that in the World Cup games, the Olympic games, where the USA really steps up. I think obviously there's not a single country that has like a better chance to beat the US. Like we've seen that in the Olympics, but like when you start combining Canada and France and Serbia and all these other countries where you have like MVP caliber players, Greece, that could be, I mean, the 5 that you would put together from the world would be way better than whoever the 5 are for the US, especially Tatum's going to be out. Kyrie's going to be out. Like who knows what LeBron will look like at age 42? Who knows what Steph will look like at age 38? I mean, the world team, I think, should dominate.
Ooh, that's a strong word. I don't know about that.
Luka, Shea, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid if he's healthy.
Sure.
Victor Wembanyama.
Sure.
Like they have like more high-end talent right now.
Yeah, they're top heavy. I'll give that to. But again, I want to see the format first.
Yeah.
I think if they're going 12, that's why I say I don't know. If they're going 12, I don't know. If they're going 12 for the Team USA, there's 12 dudes from Team USA that could definitely.
Let's name them. Like who would it be? Steph, LeBron, obviously. Durant,
Steph and LeBron.
AD.
Well, definitely. And here's the problem with that too.
Cooper Flag.
Like, those dudes being a little older. You know what I mean? I don't know how that's going to play into that as well, because these guys that you mentioned, these are all, like you said, MVP candidates, all guys in their prime, you know, all guys that are, you know, always just at the forefront as far as being the face of the NBA. So that kind of plays into it too, to your point where you feel the world will kind of dominate that. But yes, Team USA, LeBron, KD, Steph, I think you got there Anthony Edwards in there.
AD.
Tatum will be in there. Anthony Davis
got the Achilles
will be in there. Maybe Jaylen Brown too, Jalen Brunson.
Halliburton.
Also Tyrese, what the Hally, was definitely should be in there as well. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns could definitely make a play for that. I don't know. Embiid, maybe Team USA.
Yeah, he did.
He played for Team USA, so that, you know, we'll see what he decides to do.
Either way, it would be like competitive, and I think like you put like Giannis, Jokic, Luka, like all these guys are very ball dominant, not a lot of floor spacing. Like it would be a little bit of a weird fit to me. Shea, another one. But and like maybe there's like they have to do a little bit more digging in terms of like, let's get some 3D guys in here to space the floor and like be the extra ball movers, be the defenders. I just wonder how seriously they would take it, because if that's the case, then you're looking at a different set of players. And then how does that impact voting? Like, are we going to be voting for Bogdanovic to make the All-Star game for the Team World? I mean, it's just going to be fascinating to see how they do that. And then certainly the format. Like, I mean, is it going to be a Frozen Four type situation where you have 4 different portions or like parts of the globe that are put together, or like how does that work? So I think that's just going to be super interesting. I'm all for trying new things when it comes to the All-Star game. I think that's what the NBA historically has done well, is like try to be innovative, try to be like at the cutting edge of finding new ways to make their product better. And so I appreciate that. But at the same point, I also wonder, as we've talked about in the past, like, is the All-Star game just beyond repair? And I think this is a good test to see if that's true.
Yeah, I don't think it's beyond repair. I think something with stars is never beyond repair. You just have to have a different approach for a different time. The All-Star game worked in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, all through the years. You're going to want to see star players. Maybe I'm speaking from a basketball junkie perspective, because I'm going to tune in regardless of who's playing and what's going on out there on the floor. I'm going to want to see, you know, those guys play. For me, it's not like, you know, football. When they do their thing, it's, you know, football's a little different. That's kind of why they moved it, you know, to after the season. That's kind of why it's now kind of flag football kind of situation. But I think it can be competitive as far as the NBA All-Star game is concerned. I thought it was at its most competitive when money was on the line and those guys were actually playing for people. Because, you know, one thing about, you know, people who make that much money and have that kind of thing, like, you know that they're going to be giving, you know what I'm saying? Like, people want to be a giving kind of people when you're in these kind of situations. So now that you're giving to a charity and you're handing out, and those people from the charities were sitting in the crowd, you know what I'm saying, looking at them like, hey, it'd be nice if you send us a couple $100,000. That'd be cool. Yeah, the NBA players kind of play differently when they're doing it that way, because these are some giving individuals, because they have so much. And, you know, giving them a situation where they can give back, I thought, and to do it in a way where they can do what they do best to use that to give back. I thought we saw a really competitive game when they first started doing it. And I liked it very much. I do like this aspect too. I like Team USA versus the world. Again, like Goat said, bringing in the competition. You know what I'm saying? Like just guys wanting to show like, no, I'm the best out here. Now they had some semblance of that in the rookie game when they had Team USA kind of versus the world in the rookie game. But again, those weren't, stars. You know what I mean? So it wasn't really a big kind of thing. Guys still kind of played around. It wasn't really a big deal like that. But I think with the All-Star game, with the actual true superstars and stars there that night under the lights in front of all the celebrities and everybody that came to see it, they're going to want to put on a show, man. And I think this is a great way to put on a show and show that competitiveness. And one more point on it. You saw that Netflix documentary that released about Team USA when they were chasing that gold medal, and you saw how competitive the world was, you know what I'm saying, to go against them. And, guys like, Joker and the rest of those guys, just how much they wanted to win, and win for their home country and their team. I think that stuff kind of carries over when you're doing this kind of competition because you still want to show like, dude, we're the best. Like we should have beat y'all in the Olympics. There's no way y'all should have, got one up on us. And we're going to show y'all that if we got the right team, we can definitely do that. And so I think that plays into it too.
And I hope that would be the case. I hope that Team World would kick Team USA's ass because that would spark a fire for them to try harder. I see them being the ones that are coming out a little bit like more casual with it. Whereas I could see the like global team being more competitive. And I think if one side is being really competitive and just like destroys the other side has to like step it up.
That's true. That's true.
But at the end of the day, it's like the motivation, like charity, whether it's like money for yourself, giving away money, playing for a charity, all that stuff. Like we've seen that work sort of, we've seen it like not work a lot. And like the money still goes regardless of whether you're trying hard or not. So to me, it's like, how do you get the players to be motivated to compete? And I think this could be a good way to do that because I think the international players would have more pride and excitement about beating Team USA. And maybe that would bring more out of Team USA to actually have to compete.
Do you think it's a case where they can't just lose, but they kind of have to get their ass whooped for it to be like that?
I'm not saying like I would be cheering for one team or another.
I'm asking, I'm just saying for that to change. You're saying that competitive nature to come flying out.
Maybe it wouldn't even need to get there in the first place because they would come out motivated to begin with. But my point is, in the event that it is treated more like a traditional All-Star game, I feel like the global team, Team World, would have more motivation to come in and beat Team USA, and that would bring the most out of Team USA to have to step up. And that's what I want to see. I want to see like a competitiveness to it. And I think like the All-Star game used to be like more competitive stuff is like maybe a little bit true, maybe a little bit overrated. At the end of the day, like none of these guys are really going to be like going after it for their all because there's more important stuff on the line, like not getting hurt and like the playoffs. We've even seen that in like the NBA Cup games. Like teams don't always compete. Like that's a different game than any other Thursday night in November. But I just want to see like a little bit more motivation. I think like shortening the games is really the key.
He talked about that during the interview, talking about how it's a 40-minute game, obviously, in the EuroLeague. He loves that aspect of it, that it's a 40-minute game. He didn't say he would change that as far as the NBA is concerned. But, again, there's no format to the All-Star game yet, so you might see it change.
And they could use that to experiment and figure out what does work for real play.
Right? Yeah. You would like that to change from 48 to 40?
I'm open to it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think like anything that you can do, like the NBA season is too long and the NBA games are too long to me. Like it's not
I disagree with you on both.
I think like because the season is as long as it is, there has to be like load management. You have to be careful about how you take care of your body throughout the course of a season.
Sure.
And when the games really matter, that's when guys really step up. And like I do think there is value in the regular season, but I think that it's too much to take it as seriously as you would hope to get the best product that you'd want.
I don't agree with that. I think you can still get that greatness out of it in that 48 because I've seen it. I've seen that greatness come from that in that realm. I hear your point, definitely. I hear your
Maybe
point.
we talk about that more on the other side of this break.
We can get on that. We can get on that. On the other side of this break, we got more to talk about and Billy Donovan talk coming up as well. CHGO Sports Bulls.
Wow.
Empire Today, ladies and gentlemen, because all they do is floors, just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage. Your home team needs a home floor advantage. Empire Today can help you do it. Now, you definitely been to that big box store. You walked inside. You tried to get other stuff, but then you saw Biff at the flooring. Hey, and you said, I got a question, and he ran away. You wasted your time. You could have sat at home and got that same shop at home convenience that you can only get with Empire Today. They live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame, y'all. Pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture in your house. With Empire Today, you get that clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using that promo code CHGO. That's $350 off with that code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details. 588-2300. Day Empire Today.
That was a pure isolation score right there.
Notice she didn't clap for me.
Did not clap, but that's okay because it is a little rainy today, but it's getting hot outside, and that means you got to have your Mando deodorant ready to go so you can stay clean and smelling good through the hot summer months. It is a whole body deodorant that's safe to use anywhere, from your pits to your balls to your thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and even your feet. Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. You can choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. And it's clinically proven to control odor better than soap alone. So Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your first starter pack. Use code CHGO at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Rolling along with y'all, CHGO Bulls podcast. Big Dave, Will Gottlieb, Katie on production. Hey, Julia. Also want to mention to y'all, the rate.com Crosstown Classic sweepstakes, y'all. You need to enter to win this because guess what you're going to get? You're going to get some Rate Club tickets for this, ladies and gentlemen. July 26th, it is happening. You can get all-inclusive food and drink plus your tickets. They are Rate Club tickets to see the Crosstown Classic. We are teaming up to get you into some of the biggest Chicago baseball games of this summer, and it don't get no bigger than that, y'all. Make sure you go ahead, sign up at rate.com, and enter to win. It's just that simple. Rolling along, talking about to take some temperature out here, Will Gottlieb. Take
hot.
the temp.
Or
let's
Mando
get cool. Mando ready. Or take it cool, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Make sure you go to fourseasonsheatingcooling.com because for all the right reasons, it's Four Seasons. We're taking a temp on one Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan, head coach of the Chicago Bulls, going into his 6th season as the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. He is the 3rd longest tenured coach in the NBA behind Eric Spoelstra and behind Steve Kerr. Whoa. His record right now with the Bulls, 196 and 209. One playoff appearance, that was as a 6 seed when they played the Milwaukee Bucks and got the gentleman sweep. That was an awesome win. Honestly, it was. Shout out Alex Caruso and DeMar DeRozan for that. 2 All-Stars, I believe he's had on his team, in DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine.
3 All-Star appearances. But
yes, correct. 2 All-Star appearances by those guys. Players, I should say. And 3 straight play-in tournaments under his belt as well. All of those losses to the aforementioned Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat. Will, looking at the record, looking at the playoff appearances, and looking at the guys, who have become all-stars around Billy Donovan, before I ask the question, I really want to ask just your opinion on Billy Donovan during his tenure here with the Chicago Bulls.
I think he's been a very solid coach. I think the last few years have obviously been a disappointment from an outcome perspective and from like expectations they have not met, right? And I think that's really, to me, the key. But before we get into that, like, I do want to sing Billy's praises. We've talked about him a lot because obviously the first couple of years here, he had DeMar DeRozan, and they were playing like this slower, more half-court oriented game, a lot more isolation, a lot more pick and roll. And then last year completely flipped the script. They got to a very fast pace. They were shooting a ton of threes, basically flipped their shot profile. And I think that's a really challenging thing to do. I think it's a little bit easier when you have a bunch of younger players. I think Billy has shown that he connects. Obviously, he's a player's coach in the sense that he empowers players to play their style and their way. But I think he's able to have a little bit more control over how that looks on the court with younger players who he's able to reach and kind of shape a little bit more. People were certainly frustrated with the way that he handled Modest Buzelis and not getting him as many minutes as they may have hoped early on in the season. But I think as you saw his progression throughout the season, where Billy was saying like everything he's gotten to this point is because he earned it. Like that's a good thing to be able to say about one of your franchise pillars moving forward. So I give him a lot of credit for doing that the way that he felt best about. And I think overall, like, he's a very solid coach. I've heard other people talk about this. We've talked about it in like the media room. I think everybody kind of agrees that there's like a handful of coaches in the league that are real needle movers. You're talking about guys that like are the difference between not making the playoffs and making the playoffs, the difference between getting to the second round and getting to the finals. Billy's probably not that caliber of coach, just in terms of like his impact on wins on a day-to-day basis. But I think he's probably in like a pretty large second tier. And maybe he's like towards the middle of that, towards the top. He's not a bad coach by any means. I think he's very solid, well-respected. The organization loves him. The players really appreciate him. I think he's very good at his job. But I think when you look at the outcome and the results of where the Bulls wanted to be, where they expected to be, and where they ended up, like, it is a little bit surprising. I was doing a little bit of research on this, and I can do just get some more names in here. But like, of the coaches that have been fired this year, I'm going to remove Budenholzer and Popovich because those are like outliers. So like the median of the 5 coaches that have been fired, the average is 6 years. Pop was there for 29 years. Yeah. Budenholzer for 1, Taylor Jenkins was 6, Mike Malone was 10, and Tom Thibodeau was 5. So like this is in the range of when guys start to typically move on. We know Billy Donovan's contract is coming up after next season. So I wonder if he'll get an extension now or if they'll let that go on into the next year. But I mean, you look at that list and it's like guys that made the playoffs, guys that won championships, guys that really took their team far, and their teams decided this was not good enough. And so to me, it's like not surprising that Billy hasn't gone anywhere, and I'm not calling for his job. I think he's a perfectly fine coach that I would not be in a rush to move. But I do think it says something about the organization and the way that they are complacent with being in the middle.
Yes.
And that to me is the story here. Not that Billy has, gotten more job security than he deserves or that he needs to go. I'm not saying that, and I don't think that's true. I think to me it's just surprising when your team misses the playoffs for 3 straight years and you want it to get there all 3 of those years and there's not changes.
Yeah. Let me start like you started. Again, solid coach. I don't have a big issue with Billy Donovan as a coach. I had issues with other stuff, you know what I'm saying? But they were all coach-related kind of situations. But overall, I don't think he's a bad coach. His players clearly, you know what I'm saying, rock with him. They clearly love him. We hear nothing but praise heaped upon Billy's shoulders. Anytime you're talking about a player that has played under him, from the college ranks all the way to the pros, you're going to hear people have praise heaped upon him. He's been successful from the college to the pros. That's why Billy Donovan will be in the Hall of Fame this year because of that success. So you're going to see that happen for him. So, yeah, Billy Donovan can coach. This situation that he's in isn't the best one. It isn't the greatest situation to be in for the Chicago Bulls. A lot of that stuff has to do with the management and the things that they put around him. Some things I've just been amazed about what he's gotten out of these guys. I've definitely, you've heard me say this before, just giving him incredible credit for changing the entire way the Bulls do their thing from last year to this year. Like the Bulls are now a running team that shoots threes all the time. And we were like, this was not the squad, in the previous season. And Billy was basically building it around who their best players were. And obviously their best player was DeMar DeRozan, so that's what you're going to do. I watched Billy Donovan have part of his offense be Andre Drummond, part of his defense being Andre Drummond getting rebounds. Like, that was a stop. Goat was the one pointing that out to me. Like, that's a defensive stop is And that's part of your defense is Andre Drummond getting rebounds. Just shows you how futile the Bulls defense was. But Billy Donovan was taking lemons and making lemonade, you know what I'm saying, out of it, man. Like, he was taking the worst parts of the pig and coming up with pig's feet. Like, it was incredible stuff that he was making and doing for this team. So I appreciate him in that instance like that. But also something the GOAT has always said to me is you are what your record says you are. So 196 and 209 is Billy Donovan's record. That's what he is. He's a coach that's right there in the middle. For me, that's not good enough. For 3 straight play-in appearances and to lose each time, and not just lose to different squads, to lose to the same team each time. The Heat. That means that, you know who you're playing. You know you're going up against 3 straight times, and still there has been no change or no, any concern of anything going to change as far as Billy Donovan being the head coach is concerned. It was like when the Bulls had Doug Collins as their coach, and they kept going against Detroit and losing. Well, something had to change. They had to get in Phil Jackson in there, and then they kind of broke through. So the Bulls, I guess the front office feels that Billy hasn't had what he's needed to have a fair evaluation. You could look at it that way about Billy Donovan. He hasn't had the greatest team around him. He's had to do more with less, and that's probably why they, buy into him as being the coach for this kind of young team. But for me, when I read off those things that he's done in his career here with the Chicago Bulls, for me, it signals it might be time for a change. It won't be. He'll be here. He's going to continue to stay here, and he can coach. But for me, I would love to hear another voice in those young kids' ears.
And to me, it's like, I think that's a fine take to have. Like, I don't think that doesn't offend my sensibilities about what is a basketball.
Never trying to do that.
Exactly. I don't think it's fair. I understand that Bulls fans who are frustrated with Billy want a new coach. I can understand why that is. I disagree with him being the real problem. To me, the problem is one step above him.
Yes.
The people that are making decisions about the roster, that's the real problem. But to your point, could a different coach get this team or the last couple iterations of this team to the playoffs instead of to the play-in? It's possible. But I also think the grass is not always greener.
Sure.
And a lot of times what happens with firing coaches is you go from Tom Thibodeau to Fred Hoiberg, and you swing from one end of the pendulum to the other, and then you just create a bunch of other problems that you didn't know you had because you wanted to get more creative offense, and now the culture and the defense falls apart. And then you get rid of Fred Hoiberg and you bring in Jim Boylan to be that rah-rah, team leader, get the culture right guy, and that leaves everything in a disaster where you're ruining players' development and you're not getting anything offensively. So I just think Billy is a very solid, stable option.
Yes.
And I have no problem with the Bulls keeping him. I think the real issue to me is the complacency that this organization has with continuing to be okay with not making the playoffs. And to me, that's just not something that Billy can or should have to answer for.
No, you're right. And what he's done with these players, like I said, doing more with less is one of the things I definitely compliment him on. But still getting to those positions to where you kind of got to elevate your team into, those playoffs. He hasn't been able to do that to the same team. And I think that's what I kind of see, Will, when I harp on that, is it's the same guy, every single time. You know what's coming. You know what he's doing.
And this is not the Western Conference where it's hard to make the playoffs.
It's the East.
This is the Eastern Conference.
It's the East.
Where you can, go on a 10-game losing streak in the middle of the season, 15-game losing streak like the Heat
still in there.
And they're still in there and they make the playoffs. It's just the bar has just been lowered so much.
Yeah.
It's honestly insane that people don't just harp on this a little bit more regularly. I think a lot of times when we're complaining about the direction of the team or which player they should draft or why they didn't trade X, Y, and Z guy, it's the bar has been lowered so much to where people think it's okay. People are still showing up to watch a team that can't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And when that's the case, nothing else is going to change because why would it?
Saying why would it change? And Billy Donovan, being the coach is one of the reasons why you might not see that. We're going to take a break right here. We're going to have more Billy Donovan discussion, plus talk about that Ringer article where 3 Bulls are on the top 100 NBA players list. Come on back to find out where they're at.
Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. New customers can now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code CHGO365 Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, no matter whether your bet wins or loses. It is basketball season. The playoffs are upon us. Yes. The finals are starting tomorrow night. I cannot wait. And with Bet365 early payout offer, you're the winner if your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app, code CHGO365 when you sign up. Must be 21. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in app only.
Cash App, y'all. You know, making money moves should be smooth, cool, and easy. And that's why you got Cash App. It's fast, safe, and honestly, just way more personalized than those other apps out there. No extra hoops, no jump through, no extra stress. All the tools are right there for you to cash in. If something seems sketchy, or you might be sending money to a potential scammer, guess what? They'll warn you and make you think twice before hitting send. It's like having a personal bodyguard for your cash money. You can even spice it up with your payments, y'all, and send those custom text, stamps, and backgrounds, because why should paying your friend for brunch be so boring? Go take my money and be cool about it. Right. If for whatever reason you don't already have Cash App, come on. Just download it from your phone's app store, sign up, enter that code CHGO Bulls in your profile, send $5 to a friend, and you'll get $10 just for getting started. And for a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Download Cash App and sign up. Use the exclusive referral code CHGO Bulls in that profile. Like I said, send 5, get 10 within 14 days, y'all. If you do it, terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. That's how they do it. Rolling along, ladies and gentlemen. CHGO Bulls podcast. That's Will the Gottlieb. That's Katie on production. I'm Big Dave. Talking about Billy Donovan and his tenure here. So let me ask the question, Will, that I need to ask. Is Billy Donovan the right coach for the Chicago Bulls' future? I think that's what it boils down to. They've made their decision and said he's the right coach. AK loves him. Front office organization, as you mentioned, loves him. Players, really love him. You mentioned even Modest Zeller saying best coach I've ever had. To be fair, it's his first one, but it's still his best one. But do you feel he is the coach for the future? It's what the Bulls need for their future.
I just don't know if I really am equipped to answer that, because it is kind of like they've already made their decision. So I guess I don't really think about it that way. To me, it's like,
how do you think about it?
To me, it's back to what I just said, which is like
organization.
Why is this organization so happy with being in the middle? Okay. Billy is going to be competing, and that's what they want to do. So in that sense, yes, he's going to be good. The Bulls want to play faster. The front office wants to play faster and shoot more threes. Billy helped them get there. The front office wants to develop their young players. Billy helped them do that. So in that sense, like he checks all the boxes. He's a voice of reason. He's a stable option. I don't see why the Bulls front office would want to move on from him unless they really felt the pressure was creeping onto them. And I think that's when coaches start to get fired, right? Is like when the front office decides their job is a little bit in jeopardy. We need to make one more change to try, like a last ditch effort to try to get this team to maximize its potential. And usually that's when you're like a defensive team, like the Knicks are probably going to hire a coach that's like offensive guru, right? To try to get them going. And I don't think Leon Rose is in any danger there, but like that's kind of the way that this typically works. So to me, like I'm fine with Billy continuing to keep his job. I don't have a problem with that. If a new front office did come in and wanted to change him, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. But to me, it's like that really just, to me, it kind of misses the point, because the point is like, why is this direction the right direction? I think that can be kind of a funny thing. It's like people always ask, like, what's the direction of this team? Like, are they going to pick a lane? It's like they picked a lane, and this is like this coach accomplishes and it helps them get down the path that they want to go. So to me, it's like it works really well for them.
Let me read a quote, because it kind of Billy Donovan and a lot of people, including myself, have said Billy Donovan doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild, a part of starting over, which is why I asked the question about the future of the Bulls, because it's something you have to look at. If this, what they're doing, this iteration of this Bulls team, and they get tired of being in the middle, where you're going to have to kind of bottom out. Or if you don't get lucky, you know, and get that pick next season or anything like that, or that big time free agent like a Luka or something that comes and just changes your fortunes, you're going to have to bottom out. You know what I'm saying? At some point in time, you can't just continue to put it off and put salve on it. You're going to have to actually get surgery, you know, and that point in time may come. And I always felt Billy Donovan didn't want to be a part of something like that. And definitely over people who agreed with me who stated this. But Billy Donovan on February 5th had something to say, and this comes from Sam Smith, NBA.com, talking about being a part of that rebuild. The situation in Oklahoma City is totally different, Billy Donovan said. I think there was maybe a lot of things said or put out there publicly that I had no interest in a rebuild. That's not true. I never said that. I never felt like that. To me, it's all about the direction and where are we going, and do they want me to be a part of that? When we talk about rebuild, retool, whatever term you want to use, that's all I've been a part of. I took over a program at Florida with 2 straight losing seasons, Flex. I don't only want to coach ready-made teams. That's what I'm all about. Clearly, we're making a shift. I want to be part of building something. For me, that's a commanding statement that Billy Donovan, he answered. I clear cut, put it out, told you right there, I want to be down for this. And I want to be here for the future.
He wants to be on the ground floor of building something.
Exactly. I would like my name, you know what I'm saying, when they're building a statue, I want my name somewhere, you know what I'm saying, on whatever they're building right here. For me, that is saying a lot. I love that he brought in the fact that he's came in being a coach at Florida. He walked into that situation, completely turned it around. Obviously, college is a little different from the pros, but still back-to-back champion. You know what I mean? You can't take that away from him. And then when he walked into OKC, they weren't a rebuilding team. They were already kind of made. But then during his tenure, it kind of changed because Russ left, you know what I'm saying? KD left. Yeah. And then they brought in CP3. And then they brought in SGA. And I'll never forget that season where they were not picked to even make the playoffs. I believe it was a 0.6% chance for them to make the playoffs. And they still made it and were a really high seed, you know what I'm saying, to get into the playoffs that season. That's being a part of something that's a retool, rebuild, however you want to say it, with Billy Donovan. The difference was here in Chicago, there was no CP3, there was no SGA or any of those guys. You would build getting in kind of on the ground floor of something and truly building it up. Did Billy want to be a part of that? I didn't see that he wanted to do something like that. I mean, Billy I believe he just turned 60. I didn't see that he wanted to be a part of something like that would take, you know what I'm saying, that long or as long as it is taken here in Chicago. But he seems down, you know, for the job. He seems down for the challenge. I've already made it clear how I feel, you know, where Billy Donovan should be as far as the future is concerned. But he's going to be here. And that's just the fact of it. He's not going anywhere. And I feel maybe if he is going to be here, Will, he can find something here to kind of help build the team that maybe we want to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about a championship contender or even a deep playoff run team, but I feel they have some pieces here that if they kind of grow and sprout, you can build something that, you know, the Chicago Bulls can be proud of. And Billy Donovan has shown you he can retool your offense and he can retool your defense. Now he needs the pieces to actually be able to truly, truly do it. Let's see if he gets that.
Do you think that, I guess I'll frame it like this.
Okay.
Number one, do you feel like with the 2022, 2023, 2024 Bulls, with DeMar and with Zach and with Caruso, no Lonzo, like that, those teams as they were with Vooch, you know, being a focal point, could another coach have gotten them to the first round of the playoffs or the second round of the playoffs?
Oh, the second round. Is Lonzo healthy?
No, just Lonzo's as the healthy? Teams as they were could have, if you only made one change and that change was coach.
No, I think the outcome probably still would have been the same because they still hadn't figured out how to beat those high-end teams.
Okay.
And I don't know if another coach – I don't know
so
if
that
another coach would have
that should answer the question, right? Like the coach was not the problem there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same thing is true when you ask this question, which is, can you imagine Billy Donovan being the coach of a championship team? Like not the Bulls necessarily, but just could you see him at the podium after winning a finals game or a final series? Like I think he absolutely is a good enough coach to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that like the margins are, even if you don't think he's like the number 5 coach in the league or whatever, the margins are not that wide that he's not in that conversation. Mm-hmm. And so to me, like, I just don't think he's remotely close to the problem. He's been able to coach the slower teams, has been able to coach faster teams. He's been able to coach the vets. He's been able to coach the young players. Like, you're getting what you want out of Billy Donovan being your coach. And what he wants is to be involved and invested in the growth of the franchise, in building it up from square one and seeing what it can become. And so to me, like, I think he's very much capable of doing that. And again, I have no issues with the Bulls wanting to keep him around. I just don't know that the Bulls have the goods to be able to go out and get the right pieces that they can to move forward and have a team that's like, you know, blossoming in that way.
So let me ask it this way then. Is Billy Donovan does that make him not being here a bad thing? Because I think I know what I want the Bulls to do. And hearing how good of how good of a coach Billy Donovan is, and how he kind of can be that glue to keep you, you know, a tad bit respectable, a tad bit in the play-in, you know what I'm saying, and hold you, you know, around that standard. Does that need to be the case? Should it be like, okay, I don't need you to do that. I need to bottom out, and I kind of need to start over. Like, maybe certain things need to be exposed for this team and to get them to start over. And again, this isn't a Billy Donovan thing. This is an organization kind of thing. But that's the question, though. It's like, is it a bad thing then if Billy Donovan isn't here?
I love that framing of it, because I think when people are calling for Billy's job or whatever it is, they're not thinking about it from that perspective. They're thinking about it from somebody else could do better. Yeah. And what you're saying is he's too competitive. He's too good for them to bottom out, which is what they need to do. And I think that's a totally fair point. But as you said, and I agree, that's an organizational directive. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just not going to, like, if you bring in any coach Arturas brings in, he's going to want that coach to do what Billy's doing. So why move on from Billy?
Because he's doing what I need him to be doing. Okay. Well, Billy Donovan's here to stay. He's going to roll with us. This will be the coach, no matter how you feel about it or not. Tell us how you feel in the chat. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Please do not have Katie come after you, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button. Let's talk about this article, Will. Let's get into the Ringer. The Ringer has updated their top 100 players in the NBA. It's a list. Are you on it?
I did not make the cut. They didn't include G League players, unfortunately.
Okay, that's a flex. You actually was on that. That's a flex, sir. There are 3 Chicago Bulls that are on this list, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with the first one who is on there, and that would be Coby White. Coby White comes in at number 71. Let me read to you exactly what these gentlemen at the Ringer had to say about young Coby White. Is the Bulls' success a March mirage? Maybe. Probably. But there's a radio edit of serious team here. I love how that's worded. With athletes and ball movers and shooters up and down the floor. And White, who has just one more season on his contract after this one, is all of a sudden looking like essential personnel for whatever lies ahead rather than merely a bridge to the next big thing. Why I thought that quote was really important because it plays into exactly what you were saying yesterday, Goat, that you're not getting rid of Coby White. You're going to hold on to Coby White, and he will be an integral part of your team going forward simply because you've made that decision to not bottom out and take a guy like Cooper Flagg. So Coby will be here, and it feels like these gentlemen also agree. But also with him at number 71, that's why I was like, do you agree with Coby White being at number 71? Do you feel like that is a fair assessment of him?
I think I'm looking at some of these players in front of him. And
well, Kristaps is at number 70.
Yeah, so Kristaps 70, Drew Holiday 69, Zach 68, DeMar 67.
Shout out!
But then you have guys like Hartenstein, Jaden McDaniels, Fred VanVleet, Caruso, Suggs, Denny Avdia, Mikal Bridges, Dyson Daniels. And then it gets into some like more fringe all-star and then all-star players. So to me, it's like when you think about how good Coby is and the way that he ended the season, you might think to yourself, that's a top 50 player. But I do think it's a useful exercise to look at a list like this and determine, like, is he actually better than an Austin Reeves who's 54th ranked, or Tyler Hero who's 51st, or Jalen Johnson who's 48, or, you know, and to think about it in terms of the rest of the league, because what you're doing is not just like getting players that you think you like. It's you're trying to beat these other players, and to beat them, you have to be better than them. Yeah. And if you like, if you want to be better than them, you're going to be ranked ahead of them. So, you know, is there an argument for Coby to be up higher? Like, some of these guys are more role players. Some of them are, you know, it's like a contract dependence thing. But I think, like, at the end of the day, I do think that that's kind of the right neighborhood for Coby. You could say he's closer to 60 or he's closer to 75 or 80, and I wouldn't really have too much of a problem with it. I think he's in that tier of player. Do I think he can get better? Do I think that if he plays as well as he did down the stretch of last season for all of next year, he would be much higher? Absolutely. So I don't think this is it for Coby, whereas some players are kind of on the downturn. They have little graphics for, like, are they trending up or down? And I think Coby is somebody that could potentially get up into that top 50 range. But if he's going to be your best player and he's going to max out as a top 50 player, then that's where you as an organization have to look yourself in the mirror and say, are we good enough, or can we get good enough with this guy?
They were ranking the players also during the season. So for Coby, on January 16th, they had him at 70. For February 27th, they had him at 80. For March 27th, they had him at 70. And for April 16th, they had him at 70. So they were pretty consistent about Coby being in the 70 to 80 kind of range. I think he's in the 60s, personally. I look at the guy ahead of you and I look at the guy below you. So I look at Kristaps at 70 and I look at Brandon Ingram at 72. Now, Kristaps was okay. He didn't have a, terrible season. He didn't have a great season. He was okay. He was injured, a lot. So I'm sure that kind of played into it. Brandon Ingram, definitely injured. You know what I'm saying? He didn't really play at all this season. Matter of fact, when he got traded, he didn't play at all when he got to Toronto. So I know he's going to rise up, and they just kind of have him there because we know he's better than that. I think Coby is better than that. And if I'm judging it based off of Kristaps Porzingis, then Coby should be higher than that. Because if you had approached me and said, well, how much elevation can I give him for that one huge month that he had in March? I'd be like, yeah, that's fair if you want to keep it like that. But then I'm looking at Porzingis and I'm like, but dude, like, he's kind of like this all season long, So, and Coby actually has some hardware to show that even during the season where he was up and down, when he was up, he was the man, not just, solid and cool. He had a month where he was the guy in the Eastern Conference, and that should mean something. And I feel like he should get just a tad more up and on the horse per se.
Okay, so that puts him at 70. Do you think that's fair?
69. Nice.
You think he's better than Drew Holiday? Do you think he's better than Zach or DeMar?
Not the season-wise, no.
No,
so, like,
not for the season.
We're splitting hairs at that point then. Like, yeah, he could be.
I know it's splitting hairs, but I'm just saying putting him right at sure. Nice is fine with me.
And I get that. Mm-hmm. But my point is, like, he's the number one ranked player on your team.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to talk about Giddey. We're going to talk about Vooch. We could talk about some guys that used to be on the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's like less of a statement about how good Coby is and more of an indictment on where the franchise is.
Sure. But just ranking the player just is how they are and how they're playing and how they play.
I think Porzingis is really good. He's obviously got
the
injury concern, and he was like sick during the playoffs. But like,
he's like this.
I mean, 7'3" shot blocker and 40% 3-point shooter. Like, that's the guy.
That's cool.
Like, the Bulls should. That's the kind of player they need.
Yeah, they do. It'd be nice to have that on the squad. But yeah, it's cool. I'm just saying I can see 69 for Coby. I can make that argument. I don't think I'd go higher than that, but just about right there, yeah. I could see it. But not 70. I would have him over Porzingis. I would have him over.
And like, I do think there's other things to factor in with this too. Is like, one, contract is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, whether you're on the way up or on the way down is a big deal.
So when Cole's on the way up,
I think he's on the way up still. Like, whereas like DeMar, I think is on the way down. He's 35. Like,
but, and even in this, I mean, Coby, dropped. He dropped one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that part of it.
And then you look at like the timeline too. Like, do you have 3 years with this guy? Do you have 1 year? Mm. So all those things matter. And then I also think, is it like an elite role player who's like not really going to carry your offense, but like is the perfect fit on any team. Jaden McDaniel is a great example. Elite defensive player. Every team is looking for this 3-and-D wing who can like hit threes and defend the best players on opposing teams. Like, is he a better basketball player than Coby? Probably not, like one-on-one, but like, can he be a better fit on a team that like is playing in the Western Conference Finals? Like, it's easier to imagine him there right now because he was just there compared to Coby. So, yeah, at the end of the day, like I said, I think anywhere from like 60 to 80 is probably fair game. But to me, it's less about like where they specifically end up and more about like the trajectory of him and then his role on that team.
That's no fun. All right, let's go to the next player on the list, the one and only Joshua Giddey, who comes in ranked at number 81. Let's see what they had to say about good old Josh Giddey. Put it all together, and Giddey is starting to look like the all-around contributor most hoped he'd become after he was selected number 6 overall in the 2021 draft. And Chicago, with grand visions of putting size, shooting, and ball handling at every position going on 4 years now, may be the right spot to take advantage of it. A year ago, it seemed as though Giddey needed to be on the ball to make a major impact, but his usage rate is actually lower than ever, while his production has never been better. So Giddey not being a high usage guy right now, Will, but also giving you the production. Again, another guy that had an incredible, month of March, and that kind of played into it. As far as his previous rankings are concerned, Josh Giddey on January 16th was 100. On February 27th, 100. On March 27th, 82. And on April 16th, 79. So definitely a huge jump, and very well-deserved huge jump for one Josh Giddey. How do you feel about Giddey at number 81, Will the Goat Gottlieb?
Yeah, just first, like the usage piece, I think is a really interesting one. He mentioned that in the write-up that like his usage has never been lower, but he's never been more productive. Giddey's overall usage percentage this year, 21.7, which is the career low. But if you look at it simply as before and after the All-Star break, before the All-Star break, it was 20.3, which is like not very much. And then after 24.9. So that's a big usage load. And I do think that obviously you saw the production increase with that too. 21, 11, and 9 second half of the year compared to 12, 7, and 6.5. So I do think he is a very ball dominant player in the sense that he needs the ball to be impactful. And I think he's done a lot to improve as an off-ball shooter. 37%, like he's probably never going to be a guy who defenses are like fire drill. We need to get out to him. Like cannot leave this guy open. True. But like if he's just going to make 37, 40% of wide open threes, like that's great. Like the Bulls will take that gladly because it means that he's punishing them for making that decision. And I do think that went a little bit under the radar in terms of the way that we evaluate him. I still think Giddey is a very needs the ball to be productive guy, but if he can shoot 37% from 3, and it was actually even better after All-Star break, 45.7, obviously he's not going to shoot quite that well. But like even before he was 34%, which is, I believe, would have been a career high for him going into last year. Yeah. 34.5%. Would have been a career high, and that was his pre-All-Star number. So I do think he is improving there, and I do think that kind of changes who he is in terms of the way that he warps defenses away from the ball, and it allows him to play with other more ball-dominant guys. The one thing I don't think we hit on quite enough last year was, yes, when the Bulls traded Zach LaVine and put the ball in Giddey's hands, he excelled. But when he was playing alongside Zach and Vooch was more ball dominant in that first part of the season, he really struggled. And I think we didn't really speak enough about, yes, he struggled in the first half, but it was a result of him not having the ball. And so if you are trying to have another or multiple more ball dominant players, how does Giddey's offense change based on who he's playing with? And if he's going to have the ball in his hands and he's going to be in rhythm and he's going to hit his threes, that's great. But what happens when another player who's maybe better than him comes in and commands more usage? Is he going to then fall back to not feeling very confident in his game, not feeling very productive, not being as good of a shooter? And I think that's a real concern. So you can talk about which was the real Giddey and like the first half, second half thing. Like we asked him about that at the exit interviews. But I think the bigger question is like, can he play with other elite players? And I still don't know that we have the answer to that.
Yeah, that's an incredible point, Go. And comfort is going to be a huge thing for
he
a guy
talks about
like
too.
Josh
Like
Giddey.
he lost his confidence in the
Yeah.
first half. He lost his confidence in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then he gained it again when he was in the Olympics. He
Correct.
gained it again in the second half. So like, how do you have confidence in your game to where you are making those shots, but in the first half of the season when you're playing with other great players? That's a question that the Bulls need to, I don't know that they'll have the answer to it, but like that's an evaluation that they're going to need to make when they decide to pay this guy.
The other thing I liked about him off ball was, again, his superpower, which was rebounding. He has definitely found his way to contribute off ball if he's not going to be that shooter and he's not going to be that guy setting screens or doing anything like that. He is definitely using his superpower of rebounding and just causing havoc when that ball goes up. You saw it a lot in that second half of the season. He was crashing the glass and attacking the boards and, just trying to be a guy down there, getting dirty, get physical, get on the floor, using all that kind of effort to help the Bulls, to try to win. And he definitely should be commended for that. That's like, I know these tools I don't have, but this one tool I do really, really well, I'm going to make that tool super damn sharp. So when I go ahead and use it all the time, it'll stand out. And for me, it definitely stood out. It definitely allowed the Bulls to get more possessions. The 50-50 balls that Stacey King, shout out to him, always talks about, was also really huge. But yeah, man, like I thought he did a great job when he was off ball as far as attacking the rim and causing havoc, trying to get the Bulls the ball back or trying to score that layup when he get it or trying to get fouled when he would get that rebound. I thought he was really good at that.
Yeah, and I think the improvements that he made, I think it's easy for people to just say, like, look at the numbers. But I do think that there were, like, some improvements in, like, the shooting form and just the way that he was playing out there that were really encouraging that I feel like probably we maybe glossed over a little bit, or at least I did.
Yeah. Just to tell you, number 80, the guy ahead of him, number 80 was R.J. Barrett. And number 82, the guy below him, was DeAndre Hunter. Both solid players. You know what I mean? I think Giddey is kind of ranked just right.
It's always a hard thing to evaluate, like, other ball-dominant guys versus high-end role players. Yeah. Like, where do they match up in the hierarchy? Like, it's almost two separate lists.
Let's get to the final guy on this list. Nikola Vucevic comes in at number 92 on this list, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what they had to say about young Vooch. Chicago has committed itself to a high-passing offense this season, and Vooch's versatility has been a reliable on-ramp as the ball moves quickly from inside out, side to side. It's easy to see his elite efficiency in both post-ups and catch-and-shoot scenarios translating in just about any offense, and maybe that's the point. The Bulls may have held on to Vooch through the deadline, but sooner than later, the marriage of convenience will surely come unglued, right? If so, every game Vooch plays is another data point, another proof of concept, another SOS call. The remarkable numbers are Vooch's ticket out of the Bulls' years-long residence in purgatory, but his departure may have to wait until next summer or maybe the next deadline. I damn sure don't want to hear that. I would like him to be traded soon enough. But Vooch at 92, sir. How you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think Vooch is, again, like a very solid player, but I think when you talk about his trade value, it has more to do with the contract than the production. It has more to do with the role than what he's actually giving you on the court. So I don't know if you want to, should we go to overtime and talk more about this?
Let's go to overtime and get into that discussion about Nikola Vucevic being 92 on the Ringer's top 100 NBA list. That's it for us on Fast. Follow us, ALLCHGO.com. Back to Vooch, sir.
Back to Vooch, yeah. I mean, I think it's just, he obviously took a huge step forward last year in terms of his three-point shooting, improving by over like 11 or 12%, I think it was off the top of my head. And I think he just looked comfortable. It was like a confidence thing similar to Josh Giddey that we just talked about, where he has the ball, the offense is flowing a little bit more. He's able to put his passing and decision-making into the game, his basketball IQ into the game, because he can leverage the speed that they're playing to make good decisions. And you saw him thrive at that. I love the way that he would attack closeouts in transition, walking into trail threes, opposing big would come out to him. He would drive by him. He's a very good passer in those situations. And I think you relied on him less on the block or in the mid-range and put him more in a position to succeed with the post, with the game that he was playing in like the mid-post area. So I think he's still a really useful player. Obviously, he's also got limitations, right? He's not like a defensive stopper. I do think he's been a little bit better than what maybe some people think in terms of his ability to get to the level of the screen. But he's not like a premier rim protector. But I think the real issue, like I mentioned before, is at $20 million, $21.5 million next season, can a team who wants to use him in a specific role afford to go out and get him? And what would the Bulls get back? And so that's one part of the equation. The other part is the Bulls are still trying to be good. They want to make the playoffs. Is a second round pick going to be worth it to where you're willing to give up a stretch big who can help, grease the wheels of your offense, get guys in good positions, be a really good screener, be a good pick and roll partner for Coby and Giddey. Like, he does a lot to help the younger players on this team succeed. And to me, it's like, again, we disagree with this direction, but if my goal is to try to make the play-in every year, a second round pick doesn't cut it for me. And I don't see a lot of teams being willing to give you a first round pick, let alone, a good first round pick to get him at this point in his career.
That makes sense. Again, it's kind of why I wanted them to make that move to trade him, last season.
You were correct.
Because he is definitely in a position where he's just getting older. And especially being a big man, getting older, your value, even if you're balling, your value is going to continue to kind of come down. His previous rankings for the season, 79, 79, 92, 89. So if anybody took the furthest fall from this, it was definitely Vooch, and for the reasons that you stated, because definitely wasn't the numbers. Like, he was having an incredible season. This is his best season here, Chicago Bull, and in a lot of ways, like numbers-wise, the best season of his career that he was having here, man. So Vooch was out of his mind with how he was playing for the Chicago Bulls team, and it's probably why it just raised the reluctancy of the front office to not trade him. For me, it should have raised the, oh yes, it's time to get rid of him now because he's telling me he's ready to go. But that's not what happened. At number 91, ahead of him is Aaron Nesmith. Is it Nesmith or Naismith? Nesmith. And below him at number 93 is Katie's favorite player, Dylan Brooks. Ugh. But yeah, man, that's what Vooch is. I still think they need to move him. I think the value, like you just mentioned, is continuing to diminish. That's a point I didn't even think of, Like, if you're trying to win, why would I take a second round pick when I have a mentality that I'm trying to win? Oh, man, I don't know. But it's a heck of a position to be in. But I just kind of want him to be happy.
Yeah.
I really do. I want him to be happy. He's paid his dude. He's made his money. It's time to actually do it for legacy. So let's see if it can occur for him, man.
Yeah, and like, he was right to take the contract that he got.
Sure.
But I do think that just makes it a little bit difficult, especially, the one team that I think was really interested was the Warriors, but they got a bigger fish. They went for Jimmy Butler instead.
Yeah.
And, there was like all this, they laid the groundwork for trades in the future. I think it's going to be tough to pull something off with them because a lot of their guys are expiring contracts. And with like Jonathan Kuminga, there's like all these rules that make it difficult. We can go into more detail another day. But like the base year compensation rule means that it's going to be really difficult for you to pull off a sign and trade for him. And is that even enough? Like, do the Warriors want more for that? But they just don't have a lot of ways to get to Vooch's $21.5 million number to be able to make that trade. So I don't know if there are going to be other teams out there. He certainly won't be the first domino to fall. But yeah, I mean, I think he deserves a chance to play in the playoffs. He certainly seemed like he wanted that at his All-Star break, and just talking to him, like, he wants to win. It's hard to blame him for that.
Yeah, can't blame him for that at all. That's the list. You can check out the rest of the players on their top 100 list. Just to tell you, the top 5, Joker, SGA, Giannis, Luka, Steph. The bottom 5, Herb Jones, Jalen Duran, Jalen Green, Jordan Poole, and Bradley Beal rounds it out. It's your top 5. That's your bottom 5. Do they got it right? Do they got it wrong? Let us know in the chat. Hit the like button on your way out. Katie, I'm assuming there's no poll.
There is a poll.
There's a poll?
It's a simple one. It's just, what's the best prize to win? The winner was cash. Second place was trophy. Third place, ring. And fourth place, pride.
Did you say rain?
Ring.
Oh, ring. Okay. And the fourth place was?
Pride.
Pride? know you can win pride. Oh, for winning. Oh, okay. I got it now. Okay. There it is. I got it now. All right. Cash. I'll take the ring, though. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for enjoying this and enjoying what we do. Hit the like button on your way out. Do it for Katie. Do it for yourselves because you love yourselves like I love y'all. That's Will the Go Gottlieb. Follow him at Will_Gottlieb. I am Big Dave. Follow me at Bow Sports. BAWL Sports. We'll be with y'all tomorrow. Come hang out. We'll be here. See you soon. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.